My name is John Burugu, member Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, and we are here in Arusha, Tanzania, at the Secretariat of the East African Community, where we came to benchmark and do a study tour of the organs of the East African Community. And this morning we have started with the Secretariat, and we had a courtesy call to the Secretary General. And now we have also learned and shared with them the intergovernmental areas that we undertake in the country of Kenya. And we have learned quite a lot in terms of the policy implementation, initiation, and the various organs of the Secretariat, including the Court of Justice, the East African Legislative Assembly, and how policies are initiated through the Council of Ministers, and various tiers that it is taken through to ensure that by the time it becomes an agenda for the Summit of Heads of State and Government, it is one that is impactful to the transformation of the East African partner states. Equally, we have been taken through the monitoring, evaluation and learning that has happened since 2000, when the East African Treaty was signed and ratified by respective partner member states. And we have seen the load of work, the volume that has gone through the tracking of decisions, the level of implementation, and the gaps that are there. What we have also noted is that there is need for communication, deeper, broad communication in all languages to the partner citizens, so that citizens appreciate and understand why the community is there and how it relates to their integration, the movement within the East African community, and more importantly, how do we also move in relation to labor, in relation to social services. And lastly, which is also very critical, is how technology is being leveraged by the East African community, where data is being shared, what type of data, how its data is informing the aspects of decision making, and also tracking the policy implementation by respective member states. So we find that there is a lot that we have learned in relation to the East African Secretariat being an intergovernmental entity, just like how intergovernmental relations is, although the intergovernmental relations is on a smaller scale at country level, but there is a lot of comparative activities that we and policy in implementation that we do. So what is the bottom line is that there is need for structured communication, structured engagement of the citizenry and also various organs of the respective partner member states. Thank you.
We have the best legal instruments, but the challenge is now the implementation.
Here we are also looking at strengthening our regional value chains.
It was 16 sectors, so all these sectors are headed by the sectoral committees, and they are handling their respective areas of the treaty. And also the assembly is the legislative body of the assembly, of the communities, and also discuss matters related to the communities and making recommendations to the Council of Ministers. I believe in your visit to these and programs of the community, harmonization of policies and strategies, and administration of financial management of the community. The South African Science and Technology Commission is SHAKEUP for promotion of science, technology, and innovation. We also have the South African Health Research Commission, which manages the fishery resources in the Lake Victoria. The East African Competition Authority, which oversees competition, policy and regulation in the community. The pipeline to be established, as the director has spoken about, the Army and others which are not yet to be established, but they are going to become community decisions. So on the issue about the meeting, and the second meeting shall be held preceding the summit. It will be an extraordinary or ordinary meeting, but it usually ties in with the calendar. The Secretariat is convening of these meetings is provided under Section 71 and Article 71 of the treaty, whereby under 71K, the Secretariat is mandated to, and the rules of procedures are mentioned are the ones which are operationalizing all the activities of the summit and the council with respect to the governance and preparation, circulation and adoption of the meetings. As per the calendar of activities, if you know the meeting is going to be held in April, we will issue the call maybe around February, so that the other institutions who have issued that they want to be placed before the summit or the council will submit them to the office of the CTC, and then we compile together and prepare the background paper for the meeting. And then that background paper will be circulated alongside with the provisional agenda and the program for the meeting. And usually the adoption of the agenda is usually done at the meeting. During the meeting setup, that's when the sitting sessions of the council, which had not been concluded, will also form part of the agenda for that council, and any other agendas, including the councils and other partner states, may bring up agendas which they want the council to discuss at the session. So these all form part of the agenda for the council sessions. For the summit, the agenda of the summit meetings, and also there are items which the summit has indicated that it would need to be discussed either through from its preceding discussion of the summit, the Secretary General and the Deputy Secretary General. That also was one of the agenda for the summit meetings, admission of new members and assent to bills. For council on summit, the draft agenda prepared by the Secretary is usually comprehensive, and it also includes follow-up of previous summit and council directives.
What is done that leads to the agenda. Then the second issue I wanted to the second
at their rules and procedures, because at this particular time we are actually developing a manual with rules and procedures, but would also want to have maybe that
Kiswahili Council. I would like to understand what really they do, because our brothers and sisters from Uganda have never made progress in learning Kiswahili.
I can't. I find it very hard.
At least Kenya is somewhere.
Slightly.
challenge. What are the specific functions you have for different issues in addition to what you said?
A background paper, and you say you want to report to the council. There has to be a genesis. If it's, let's say, a matter under the purview of the ministers of finance, there are committees which handle, let's say, finance, monetary and fiscal matters, which have to look at that. Then they report to the ministers of finance at their sectoral council. Then from there, we submit to the CTC office. Otherwise, the CTC office will ask us, did you obtain input from the ministers of finance? It's an example. If it's
receiving agenda items from the member states, the partner states, what is the criteria? Yes, as the director pointed out, most of these normally are dealt with under the respective sectoral councils, and if they fail to conclude them at that level, that's when they get to the council. But I recall we had received one agenda from the Republic of Uganda with respect to implementation. I think it was on to see how partner states whether they sing the EAC national anthem. You know, you can get issues like that. So they wanted to
the issues are, so the learning that we get from that process helps us even to craft better decisions. Like, for example, the earlier councils didn't have decisions from time frames and things like that, which made it a bit difficult to just monitor and ensure we're on track. So you find that the improvements that come once management uses this as a tool to show how well we are doing. For example, if we do,
The decisions, But I wanted to understand from your perspective, do you see implementation of the decisions of the summit as anything?
Talk about annual reports of the community and audit reports. And basically, our work includes as private members or council meetings. Allow me to say that in terms of legislature is required to come up with rules. I know that the Parliament of Kenya has various levels of safety. First and foremost, the Parliament 9. One wing gets 4, the other wing gets 9. So in terms of shortlisting, you will find them shortlisting times 3. For every position you show, just like in other legislatures or in other jurisdictions, there is a criteria for election for the 9 members. The 9 members must observe. The National Assembly is required to write to the Speaker here, and then we will look whether the criteria was followed, and then we will proceed with the swearing for EAC matters. That ministry doesn't have to be called EAC. It can be called foreign relations, it can be called international relations, but it is the one responsible for EAC affairs. The Secretary General of the community, the CEO of the community, is also an ex-officio member. The Community Attorney General, who we refer to here as the CTC, bills can either be introduced by private members or by the council. The council in this case are those members I've talked about, the ministers. Our ministers, our parliament, is what I would refer to the former Kenya before the 2010 constitution, where you have ministers sitting on the front bench. You know, it's like a parliamentary system. It's about the 2010 constitution in Kenya. The Parliamentary Council from the AG's office. You recall, there is a time you could not bring a bill to Parliament before I want to bring a bill on AFGM, anti-genital mutilation, female genital mutilation. So I will craft it in form of a motion, and then you bring it for first reading. You bring it for first reading. Then after the first reading, it will definitely, with the general support, as much as possible, do your legislative research proper. For example, if you're bringing something to do with the polythene, you know, the banning of plastic, yes, or the FGM, bill in Kenya is not diluted. Am I communicating? That it's not diluted. You are coming to enhance it. The moment you try to tamper with what they have already registration, so you subject it to public participation. Well, that is when it goes to committees. I'll talk to committees briefly, and then after the committees, it will go to, they will bring a report. The report comes to the House. It's just to inform the House during the committee stage, or during the second reading of the bill, where the policy exposition is done at the second reading. What happens here? We consider the report. The report is read. The chair of the committee reads the report. Literally, the report is exposed. It has a duty, and the office of the clerk, to make sure that the bill is assented by all the 8 representatives. The other question we have been facing, Speaker, because I want to preempt this so that we don't have a lot of questions. What do you call it? When you say when you are sent come to the community, the documents they are in, you are buying. Some of them are economic surveillance, you are aware, or the SHAKEUP bill, the standard and accreditation. I'm saying this because the office of that employment is aware about it. Then the Speaker ensures the bills are assented to it. The oversight function is exercised very well through committees. Here has 6 committees, 3 of them.
how it works here. I think I'm sure my delegation has quite some. Any questions? Yes.
Was public, in my understanding, means the people.
Might be the name?
My name is George. I was from the executive office.
Okay.
Of the president.
My question is in relation to the harmonization of the legislation that is developed. Yesterday we were learning about the Secretariat of the EAC and how it conducts infringe on the general strategic objectives of the EAC, like sometimes levying of certain fees that maybe have been banned at the EAC level.
So I was just thinking that now that in Kenya we like the bottom-up approach, I was just, so which tools are we putting in place to make sure that we can enforce the word we used a lot here?
National Assembly.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mutega, and Ms. Honorable Speaker. Just a quick question, Ms. Mutega. The laws override the national. If the bill is enacted, it overrides the regional interest. So in this, the national interest rather. So in this particular case,
Between the Assembly and partner states parliament, partner states assemblies, we have to communicate them to the assemblies, the resolutions. They go to those committees. Each parliament has a committee responsible for regional affairs.